we always look at, okay, who's in the lead, right?
Yeah.
Who's the leader today?
It's the horse race.
And we've heard Todd Monken after practices talk about it bouncing back and forth for him, like why he can't make the decision. Because one day it's Deshaun, the next day it's Shedeur, then he's back to Deshaun. Now we're back on the Shedeur train, right? And now I attribute that to, well, they just have been inconsistent. Nobody has been able to really grab the reins of this thing and be consistent on a day-to-day basis. I know from the few OTA practices that we've gotten to watch, plus the minicamp practices, I can attest to the inconsistencies. You will go from a, whoa, I can't believe what I just saw type of a moment to, oh, ooh, I can't believe what I just saw type of moment. And so this is what Andrew had to say when I asked him about the quarterback competition, how he thinks it's going, and who's going to win this thing? How's this thing going to play out come 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks from today? This is Andrew Siciliano yesterday right here on The Fan.
I think this is the right way to do it. We don't play a game June 11th, and we certainly don't play one today, June 14th. The idea that a quarterback had to be named on June 14th, I get we want this to end, and we all want some clarity, and Todd Monken had said, hey, I want to kind of be in that position where when we get to camp at the end of July, we have an idea and we can divide the labor appropriately, but I don't think it's a big deal. I do think camp matters. I do think the preseason matters. I do think the joint practice against the Buffalo Bills matter. All that stuff matters. Deshaun has the advantage of being a guy who, now it was 2020, it was 6 years ago, has led the NFL in passing. So the idea that a guy who has not played football in 18 months but is in good shape physically, very good shape, let me phrase it this way, look like a veteran quarterback who knows what he's doing is not exactly a shock. But I do think it's fair to say that Shedeur's had a couple of really good days and that it is a legit competition. I don't know that there is somebody in front, and I'm all for a training camp battle. I don't know how it's going to go right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes in either direction. They have both had good days and they've both had days. But overall, this team is going to win with defense. You got to figure out one of the two quarterbacks who can get you 20 points on the board. Because we all know that the record would be a heck of a lot different if the last two seasons this team could score, just give me 20 points. I really couldn't care less which one starts as long as you put some points on the board.
He's not wrong. I mean, look, it's only been 8 times since this team's come back in 27 seasons that the Browns have averaged the baseline in the NFL of 20 points per game. And 4 of those years were under Kevin Stefanski. Okay? With that said, the interesting part that made me think after talking with Andrew about how he looks at this. We look at it as a horse race. Who's in the lead?
Of course.
Okay. Who had the better day? Who has taken the lead? Who's on the scoreboard out in front? Who's got more points than the other guy?
More completions, less interceptions. Yes.
Right. That's not how the Browns look at this thing. And I think that's where, and I will admit and self-report myself, even I get caught up in the day-to-day, who's in the lead, not in the lead, usually because it's whether I'm on this show or I pop on with the morning boys, the afternoon guys, or Jake in the evening. That's usually the question I'm always asked every time I'm on the air is, okay, so who's the leader in the clubhouse in the quarterback competition? Right. And usually I have a different answer, or I'm like, yeah, neither, they both stink.
Yeah.
Right? But I loved the perspective that Andrew brought on that, in that, you know, we're looking at this as a horse race, and we're looking for the leader after each and every day. And that is not the lens with which Todd Monken or Andrew Berry, members of the front office, members of the coaching staff, that's not the lens with which they look at this situation on a day-to-day basis. Yes, I would have really, really appreciated it if Todd Monken would have came out last Thursday and said, so-and-so is going to be our starting quarterback on day one of training camp. And that's who we're going to prepare to be on the field in September in Jacksonville with. That is a very selfish ambition for me, or selfish desire, I should say, by me. But that's what I was hoping for. But they lost nothing. They've lost nothing by not doing that.
That's all of us. We all want clarity. For the first time in 20 some odd years, we just want clarity at the quarterback position.
Well, first time since 2023.
But even that was fleeting.
Yeah.
That was fleeting clarity. And even during that bit of clarity, there was still a chunk of people going, this guy stinks, get him out of here. And I mean, I think we're going to run into that, whomever is here, unless that person happens to be a Hall of Fame level quarterback. You're always going to run into such things. But everyone is Veruca Salt right now. We are all Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? We all want our quarterback now.
Yes.
And the problem is,
we've impatiently been waiting for it for generations.
Correct.
Since Bernie, basically. I mean, we thought maybe Baker for a while, but then that fell apart. Then it was supposed to be Deshaun, and that fell apart.
Right.
So, yeah, impatiently waiting.
There is nothing wrong with having to take this into camp.
Do I need to go down the list of the guys we've talked ourselves into?
No. Dozens. Even
Brady
dozens.
Quinn, Brandon Whedon,
guys who didn't
Johnny
even hit
Manziel.
The field, people tried to talk themselves into.
Charlie Fry, we even talked ourselves into him for a little bit.
I remember you and I at one point having to talk
Hugh Jackson talked himself into Cody Kessler. Trust me on this one.
I remember you and I having to talk to each other about Kevin Hogan at one point. I mean, that's where we have been on a couple occasions.
You know what was the biggest bummer about Kevin Hogan not sticking here? Is all my Hogan's Heroes jokes went out the window.
Shucks.
And I had a litany of material to fire off there.
We could try to get you a Schultz and see where it takes you from there. So
I know nothing.
So I get that. There's nothing wrong with taking this to the camp. The thing that I take away from that Andrew Siciliano quote that haunts me in my sleep was the amount of times he used the word was. I'm so tired of hearing was, because we're living in this world where we're praying that the past becomes the present instead of realizing that the present is not the past, or that that's not going to happen. I'm so tired of hearing was, especially when it comes to Deshaun Watson. I'm so tired of was, because was doesn't win me games today. And that's the situation I'm in. And I want the Browns more than anything else to look the fan base in the eyes and go, I am also sick and tired of was. And being in this situation where we're all hoping and praying that magic can happen and this guy can come back to who he previously was in a different life, and it's not there anymore. It's just not there. We've watched it on the field enough. Then add in 2 Achilles tears, then add in everything else in between that has happened. Done.
Hold the phone, literally and figuratively. If you didn't like that, then you're really going to love this from Andrew Berry on The Fan on Friday.
I think everything's on the table. I think it would be silly to go into a season and say, hey, something absolutely can or cannot happen. And I think particularly at the quarterback position, we've seen it with guys, whether it's Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones or Geno Smith or, even Baker after he left us in Carolina. And I think you have to be open-minded and flexible. Yeah, I wouldn't rule out anything. We're looking for guys who can perform and who can lead.
That was the response to whether or not Deshaun Watson could be here next year.
Let's lay that out a smidge, okay?
So I kind of
have to say that.
I just turned your was into a could. I'm just pointing that out to you.
You have to say that, right? You have to say that if you're the general manager. Let's break this down. Sam Darnold never dealt with 2 Achilles tears nor shoulder surgery at any given time. He was just on a really, really crappy Jets team, found his way to a better team with far superior quarterback philosophy that reprogrammed his brain, right?
Okay.
So that one we can throw off to the side. Geno Smith would be the one that I would circle if anybody here is thinking that that's the direction it could go, because that is someone who also was in some pretty crappy situations on top of that. Let's be really honest with ourselves. The difference is that there was never a question that Geno could fling it. I'm now in a situation of watching Deshaun Watson the last time on the field where I had questions if he could fling it. He was underthrowing receivers the last time he was on the field.
Right.
Did that shoulder heal up enough? We all don't know. The highlights that I've seen on social media when it's come to Deshaun Watson, again, it's social media, it's highlights.
Right.
Very rarely do you see people throw out lowlights or anything else. That's typically the highlights. But even those, it looks like he's underthrowing wide receivers a little bit. So who knows what this is going to end up looking like. But, like, you go down the lines. Daniel Jones is another one. I'm still not sure if Daniel Jones has put it together. Because he ended up ripping that Achilles, and he was using his mobility when he was with the Colts last year. And Shane Steichen also knows what he's doing and how to game plan some stuff up. So I want to see what he looks like this year before we all throw our hands in the air and go, yes, the Colts have saved Daniel Jones. Like, let's pump the brakes. Let's watch 5 to 7 weeks of football, and let's come back and have a conversation then.